You wake up, walk into the kitchen, turn on the faucet of your filter, fill up your glass, and drink it thinking you're doing the healthiest thing in the world. You bought that filter with your family in mind. You paid good money for it, you trusted the box. And maybe without knowing, you're pouring into your body every single day particles that quietly build up in your kidneys, in your liver, and even in your brain. Most people believe every water filter is the same, that if the water comes out clear, no smell, no chlorine taste, then everything's fine. That if a company is selling it, it must be approved. That grandma's old ceramic pitcher is safe because it's been around forever. That a basic carbon pitcher is the same as a reverse osmosis system. That bottled water is always better than what comes out of your tap at home. I'm a physician. I've been in clinical practice for nearly 20 years. And over the last decade, I've been noticing something that genuinely concerns me. Healthy patients, eating well, no bad habits, walking into my office with lab results that don't add up. Heavy metals slightly above what we'd expect. Inflammatory markers elevated with no clear reason. And when I start digging into their daily routines, almost every time without fail, I land in the same place. The water they're drinking inside their own homes. Here's the thing I need to walk you through because it might just change the way you look at that filter sitting on your counter. I have to be straight with you. The title of this video talks about corrosion and revealing the best filter. I'm going to show you what science has actually documented, what builds up in your body, and which filtration system genuinely protects you. But I'm not here to sell you a brand, push a product, or make miracle promises. My commitment is to medical truth, not to hype. And anytime you're considering an important change at home, especially if you have any kidney or heart condition, talk to your doctor first. Think about it with me. Water is by volume the ingredient you consume the most in your entire life. Roughly 60% of your body is water. You drink on average around 2 quarts a day. Over a year, that's hundreds of gallons running through your kidneys, your liver, your cells. If something is off in that water, any unwanted microparticle, any metal at concentration slightly higher than ideal, after a year you've accumulated some. After 5 years more. After 20 years it becomes a load your body simply can't keep up with. And here's the point almost no one talks about. Your body has 2 major internal filters, the liver and the kidneys. They are, in the central analogy of this video, the treatment plant that keeps the river of your life clean. The nephrons, which are tiny filters the size of a strand of hair, do the silent work of separating what stays from what goes. But they have a limit, and when the water coming in is already overloaded, those internal filters are the ones paying the price. Now let's take down the first myth. Myth number 1. Any pitcher filter takes out everything that needs to come out. Most of the patients I see firmly believe this. Those basic carbon pitcher filters, the ones sitting in millions of American refrigerators, are seen as a guarantee of safe water. But the truth is way more interesting. Standard carbon pitcher filters mostly reduce chlorine, some odors, and some basic sediments. They make the water taste better. But generally, they don't remove most heavy metals, they don't remove pesticides at low concentrations effectively, and they don't filter microplastics well. So the water comes out tasting clean, but it can still be carrying things you don't want inside your body. And here's another detail very few people know. When the cartridge isn't replaced on time, and most folks let it go way longer than they should, it flips into the opposite of what it promised. It becomes a breeding ground for bacteria. Researchers have shown in residential monitoring studies that poorly maintained pitcher filters can show bacterial counts higher than the water that came in. Think about that. You think you're protecting yourself and you're drinking from a colonized cartridge. Margaret, 56 years old, a passionate home cook, born in Cleveland, Ohio, mother of 4, grandmother of 7, came into my office on a Tuesday with a strange complaint. Recurring stomach issues, unexplained fatigue, episodes of abdominal pain that came and went. She had done endoscopy, colonoscopy, every test in the book, all normal. When I asked her to walk me through her routine, she told me, with the pride only a great cook has, that she handled everything herself. And she mentioned the carbon pitcher in her kitchen, sitting there for over 2 years, with the same cartridge. She looked at me surprised and said, "Doc, but it's a filter. How could it be making me sick?" Replacing the cartridge, sanitizing the pitcher, and a few other adjustments brought that whole cycle of symptoms to an end within a few weeks. Here's the takeaway. A filter isn't a one-time purchase. A filter is ongoing maintenance. And not every filter filters what you actually need filtered. Myth number 2. Bottled water is always safer than filtered tap water. The industry has spent billions convincing you of this. And that's how most people think. Bought the bottle, you're protected. But the truth is way more interesting. Researchers at the State University of New York at Fredonia, in partnership with investigative journalism from Orb Media, analyzed more than 250 bottles from 11 global brands sold in 9 different countries, and they found microplastics in 93% of the samples. 93%. On average, hundreds of particles per liter were detected. And the most curious part is that tap water, in the same comparative study, actually showed considerably lower concentrations of microplastics than bottled water. You hear that and you think, how is that even possible? The explanation is in the packaging itself. The bottling process, the cap, the friction of the plastic, exposure to heat during transport, sitting in hot warehouses. All of that releases microparticles that go straight into the water you're about to drink. Studies published in Environmental Science and Technology from the American Chemical Society have shown that some bottles, when heated inside cars parked in the sun, release even larger amounts of antimony and other plastic-related compounds. That bottle you forgot in the trunk and drank later? Let me tell you, it wasn't the same water you bought. And here's where the conversation gets really important. Because once microplastic is ingested, it doesn't just disappear. Today it's being found in human organs, in the placentas of pregnant women, in samples of brain tissue. Nature Medicine published a finding in 2024 that left me sitting in silence for several minutes when I read it. Researchers examined brain tissue samples collected during autopsies and found significantly higher concentrations of microplastics in the brains of people who had a previous diagnosis of dementia. It's not proof of cause, it's correlation, but it's a correlation no one should ignore. Before we keep going, I have to ask you something. If this content is helping you, if you're learning something most people never stop to think about, hit that like button right now. That simple gesture helps the video reach more people who need this information. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, do that now and turn on notifications. And tell me in the comments which city or state you're watching from. I love seeing where this community is growing. Myth number 3, and this is the one that surprises me most when I talk with my patients. Expensive filter equals good filter. I've seen people invest $2,000, $3,000, even $4,000 in equipment with little lights, digital displays, smartphone apps, and the actual filtration technology inside was the exact same as a model that cost a few hundred. What separates a good water system isn't the price, isn't the brand, isn't the design. It's the filtration technology it actually uses. And here we get to the heart of the conversation. You need to understand 3 main technologies. I'm going to explain them the way I'd explain them to my own father. The first is activated carbon. Picture a microscopic sponge full of tiny holes invisible to the naked eye. When water flows through it, chlorine, certain flavors, certain odors, and part of some organic compounds get trapped in those holes. It's a solid technology, it's affordable, but it has limits. It doesn't remove fluoride, it doesn't remove most heavy metals at meaningful concentrations, and it doesn't remove excess mineral salts. The second is reverse osmosis. This one's the star. Water is pushed under pressure through a membrane with pores so small that essentially only water molecules get through. Anything bigger stays behind. Heavy metals, microplastics, pesticides, fluoride, nitrates, bacteria, viruses. Reverse osmosis, according to data from reviews published in the Journal of Environmental Sciences, removes on average between 95 and 99% of most inorganic contaminants. The third is ultraviolet light. It doesn't filter particles, it inactivates microorganisms. Bacteria and viruses that manage to slip through earlier stages get neutralized by the radiation. It works like the security guard standing at the door after the doorman has already done the first screening. You know which system combines the best of all 3? A system that brings together activated carbon, reverse osmosis, and UV light in sequence. That today, based on the best available evidence, is the gold standard of home water filtration. It's not the basic pitcher, it's not bottled water, it's not the fancy display on the digital model. And here's an important detail I have to give you. Reverse osmosis on its own also strips out the good mineral salts from the water. That's why many quality systems include a remineralization stage at the output, which adds back calcium, magnesium, and other essential minerals. Pay attention to this detail. Without remineralization, the water becomes too demineralized for prolonged consumption, which has its own implications. Robert, 68 years old, retired from construction, born in El Paso, Texas, currently living in Phoenix, Arizona, came in with blood pressure that wasn't responding properly, even though he was taking his medication correctly. His labs showed something that caught my attention. Subtle changes in kidney function and lead levels, slightly above what we'd expect for his age. I started investigating. The house was old, the pipes were old, and the filter? A simple carbon model, the kind that doesn't handle metals. He said something that stuck with me. "Doc, I built houses my whole life, and I never thought the pipes in my own house could be hurting me." Switching to a system with reverse osmosis and adjusting his medication brought, over 6 months, a stability he hadn't had in years. And here's where the conversation gets really important. What hurts me most as a physician isn't when a patient walks in with a serious diagnosis. It's when they tell me, quietly, with that quiet shame people carry when they feel they messed up alone. "I thought I was doing the right thing, doc. I thought I was taking care of my family." The information was kept from them. And that's exactly why I'm here, having this conversation with you right now. Let's get to what to do, what actually works to protect your family. The first thing is to understand where your water comes from. If you live in an area served by good municipal treatment, the water reaching your house has already gone through processing. The problem generally is what happens after. The city pipes, the building pipes, your own home plumbing, and any storage tank. If you have a storage tank, it needs to be cleaned regularly. That's not a minor detail, that's foundational. A dirty tank contaminates any filter that comes after it. The second thing is choosing a filtration system with adequate technology. If your budget allows, systems with reverse osmosis, activated carbon, and UV light are, today, the most reliable reference for home use. If your budget is tighter, a good quality activated carbon filter is already much better than relying solely on bottled water. The third thing, and a lot of people forget this, is maintenance. A filter without timely cartridge replacement is worse than no filter at all. Most carbon cartridges need to be changed every 6 months, or based on usage volume. Reverse osmosis membranes generally last between 2 and 3 years. Write down the replacement date. Set a reminder on your phone. Treat it with the same seriousness you'd give to changing the oil in your car. The fourth thing is to avoid storing water in plastic bottles exposed to heat. Use glass whenever possible. If it has to be plastic, keep it away from sunlight, away from the heat of the stove, away from the trunk of your car. And the fifth, which is the simplest one and the one nobody actually does, let the tap run for a few seconds before filling your filter in the morning, especially if it's been sitting unused for hours. The first water of the day carries with it whatever was sitting still inside the pipes overnight. Linda, 62 years old, retired schoolteacher, born in Atlanta, Georgia, came back to my office 6 months after our first conversation. She had switched her home filtration system, cleaned her storage setup, started using glass bottles at the volunteer work she does at her church. Her inflammation markers had normalized. The chronic headache she had been dealing with for years, which she didn't even associate with water, had nearly disappeared. She looked at me and said, "Doc, it feels like something shifted on the inside. My head feels lighter and I wake up with more energy. Was it the water all along?" I answered honestly, maybe it wasn't only the water. But the water was indeed an important piece of a puzzle she had finally started putting together. Let's recap. Water is the ingredient you consume the most. Standard pitcher filters don't effectively remove heavy metals or microplastics, and they need strict cartridge replacement so they don't become bacterial breeding grounds. Bottled water is not automatically safer, and it carries a microplastic load that science has measured. Expensive doesn't always mean good. The gold standard of home filtration combines activated carbon, reverse osmosis, and UV light. Maintenance matters as much as the equipment itself, and any home water storage tank should be cleaned regularly, no exceptions. Your body isn't your enemy. It's trying every single day, 24 hours a day, to keep the river of your life clean. Your kidneys are a treatment plant working in silence, no complaints, no demands. All they ask is that you don't pour pollution into the source. The water entering your home is the source. The filter is the first line of defense. Share this video with that mom who just bought her first filter for her new home, with that dad who blindly trusts the plastic bottle at work, with that aunt who's had the same pitcher cartridge for years without changing it. This kind of knowledge changes the entire routine of a family. In the next video, I'm going to show you the 5 silent signs your kidneys send when they're overwhelmed. And sign number 3 actually shows up in your legs, not in the bathroom. Most people ignore it for years, thinking it's just regular tiredness. You won't want to miss it. Take care of your water. Take care of the treatment plant living inside you, because the river of your life is exactly as clean as the source you choose to open every morning.